So I'm going to show you guys how to set up your workstation in the kitchen. So a few things that you'll need is sanitizer water, a towel with sanitizer water, a couple towels to grab hot stuff out of the oven, and a large cutting board. Okay. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to use your towel and your sanitizer water and put that down first. Again, what this does is it helps your board from sliding around on the stainless steel. Okay. Second, make sure you have your chef knife, and your station is essentially ready to go. We got a chef knife, we have a large cutting board because we cut a lot of stuff, so we don't want to use a small one. We have sanitizer water, we have a couple towels to grab hot stuff out of the oven. We'll also need any kind of vessel that we're going to put our prepped product into. So for this case, I'm going to use some 6 pans. I'm going to cut some stuff up and I'm going to put them into these 6 pans. You'll also need whatever kind of product you're going to prep. So I have some bacon and some onions that I'm going to prep for this video. So whenever we talk about onions, so this is kind of a 2-part video. I'm going to show you guys the correct way to dice and julienne an onion. Okay? So you have your onion, it looks like this. Let's say we're going to dice this onion. What we're going to do is we're actually going to cut off the side without the root. Okay? So we're going to cut off this side. We want to leave the root intact. It's what's going to hold it together. Okay? So we're going to cut this side off first. Alright? Now we're going to save this. We'll put this into another vessel just to keep it. And we can utilize that later. Then once we cut that in half, go ahead and have that root side face up to you, and then we're just going to go ahead and cut it straight down in the middle. Okay, so this is how you're going to dice an onion. Then we're going to peel the outside. Okay, and it's all right if you have that outside layer. Don't worry about it. We're going to save that. We might use it for stock or something like that. We'll utilize it for something. Get your cutting board cleaned up. If you need to sanitize anything, now's the time to do it. If you have like little pieces of onion, the onion skin that's stuck on your knife or on your cutting board, go ahead and get that off right now so that it doesn't get mixed into your final product. And what we're going to do, you might have to come up. What we're going to do is we're going to take our knife and we're going to go around this, all the way around this, okay? And we're not going to cut all the way through it. We're just going to cut a portion of it, okay? And we want it to be about 1/8 of an inch thick. Okay, about 1/8-inch strips. And see how I'm not going all the way through it? I go to the very end and then I slice straight down. Okay, and use your guiding hand to guide that 1/8 of an inch. I'm always aiming towards the center of the onion. Okay, so you see how I turn my knife to aim towards the center of that onion? And again, I'm not cutting all the way through. Once you get to the end, one last cut towards the middle. Now we have all of our cuts here. Okay, and they're all relatively the same. That's what we're looking for. Nice consistent cuts. And then so we've cut it this way. We're just gonna turn it sideways and we're gonna cut it this way. Okay, and you want about 1/8 of an inch cuts on this, all right? So if we go 1/8 of an inch cuts, and if you feel more comfortable using the rocking edge of that knife, that's fine too. But I like to use this kind of a chopping method, okay? So we'll cut it all the way down to there, okay? So you see what happens? This is a small dice on our onions, okay? So it small dices it for us. They have all those layers inside there that we're just cutting through. Now this part here, we don't need to just throw away. We can actually use this. So all of those cuts that we have around it, we can just cut it about 1/8 of an inch. We'll go all the way to the root with this, okay? If we were looking for super consistent onions, we could actually take that onion, slice it sideways as well to get a little bit more, and then not use this and use this just for stock. Again, we'll save this, we'll utilize it somewhere else, but that's how you small dice an onion, okay? So now that I have my onion done, I can use a thin scraper or use my hand and just get it inside here, get it off my cutting board. Thin scraper works really well for picking all this up really quick. You don't really want to use your knife like this because it'll actually cut into the cutting board and you get little pieces of plastic in there. So clean it up as best you can, and we'll move on to the next onion. All right. So let's say we want to julienne an onion. Okay. So start with the whole onion again. We're going to cut both sides off this. And the reason is we're making a julienne is like a fajita cut. Okay? So it's like what you would use in fajitas. So they're little strips of onion. Okay? There's different sizes, but for the most part, it's about an 1/8-inch cut that's about 2 inches long. Okay? So get rid of both sides, and then we're just gonna go ahead and cut that in half, okay? Then again, we're gonna peel that outside, and there's no need to waste this. We can utilize it for something else. And again, I got little pieces of the outside of that onion stuck on my board. Just gonna go ahead and get rid of that. Go ahead, clean my knife off. And then we're gonna go ahead and julienne this onion. So julienne cut, like I said, instead of not cutting all the way through, we're actually gonna cut all the way through this time. So we'll start, you always start on your right-hand side. You don't ever wanna start this way because that's an awkward cut for you. Okay, you always wanna start on your right-hand side, and this goes the same with the dice. It's the same with julienne as well. So start on your dominant hand side, and you're gonna use your guiding hand to guide your knife all the way around. So it's almost the exact same cut that we did with the dice, but we're cutting all the way through. And again, you can use a rocking motion if you like this, and always cutting towards the center of that onion, all right? So, once we get about halfway, what we're gonna do, clean our knife up, then we're gonna take this and we're gonna flip it over. Okay, so we're just gonna push it over that way. All right, what that does is give it a bigger surface space so that it's not sliding around. Again, the whole goal is to not cut ourselves, to make it as safe as possible. All right, so again, cut it just like that. And so once I get my juliennes done, I'm gonna take my receptacle and I'm gonna go ahead and transfer that into my prep receptacle so I can utilize it later. One thing you don't wanna do is let this pile up on your board. If you were doing, I don't know, maybe 10 of these onions, that would probably be fine to do in stages. But you want to make sure that you don't have a big pile of diced onions and a big pile of julienne onions. You always want to have a clean board whenever you're finished. So right now you can see my board is relatively clean. I have a couple onions that I need to dice over here, or dice in julienne, but my board is clean. So always work clean, keep your station clean. Let's say I have multiple things I'm going to prep. Okay, so let's say I'm going to do bacon and onions. I would always start with the onions first because the onions are a ready-to-eat product. You can eat those raw. The bacon, however, needs to be cooked. So that's why we're going to start with it last. If I wasn't cooking these together, I would probably wash this and sanitize this in between. But since I'm going to cook them together, I don't care if the flavors mingle. So if I was cutting, let's say I was going to do something sweet after that. I was going to chop up some chocolate chips. I would really want to make sure that this is nice and clean and sanitized before I did the chocolate chips because my chocolate chips would taste like honey. Okay? But since I'm doing it together, since I'm going to cook them together, it'll be fine just like this. I'm going to do julienne strips of bacon. So what makes it a lot easier is actually if you have the frozen bacon, like semi-frozen, not completely hard, it makes it a lot easier to dice. You can see this is frozen, and then it'll cook a lot more effectively. So again, julienne is about 1/8 of an inch cut, and we're just going to cut right through that bacon like this. And we're going to cut all the way through.